In this video, I'm going to break down as much as I can every single thing I know about Amanita Muscaria, how it works, how to get it, how to use it, and everything else. I'm doing this because my account is under threat from being closed, and I would like to at least divulge the things that I'm able to tell the world about that I know about Amanita, being that it is basically everything I live for, except for our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But in the practical world, in the physical world, most of my time is spent doing something related to Amanita. I've been doing this for many years. I was kind of forced into this life of being a mushroom forager because my life was so painful and so hard. And I'll make a different video about my own personal life in a long format later. And in this video, I just wanted to get across to everyone the understanding of what Amanita Muscaria is as a mushroom, what it does, how it works, why people are upset about it, why people are thinking it's going to kill them, and why it also seems to be that a lot of people are using it. How can it kill you if people are using it? Don't ask me. My journey started with Amanita. It's a bit complicated. I have to explain a lot about my personal life to explain how I got into Amanita, because it's an extremely thing that's extremely close to me. I discovered it by accident. Not really by accident. It was really like a stroke of God. It was, his fate or something. I was living in Brazil at the time. I lived in Brazil for many years. I stumbled into this forest while I'm on vacation. I'm in a place called Serra Catarinense. It's in the south of Brazil. And I'm just taking photos, and I'm like looking around, and it's a beautiful place, beautiful view. It's this mountain that's so high, it's 100 kilometers in from the coastline, but it's so high you can see the ocean on some days. So I'm out there on this hill looking at this ocean, and I see this forest over to my right, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go for a little nice walk, because I had been driving a lot that day. And I go over this road. It's a dirt road, it's countryside, nothing there. And I've hopped the fence, it's a wooden fence, so I got through it. And I look up, and I see this carpet of red mushrooms in the whole forest. It was covered with red mushrooms. And I was like, whoa, I knew what it was. I knew it was Amanita Muscaria, but I didn't know how to use it or like anything about it. I didn't know very much about it at that time. But I knew that I wanted it. I felt it, and I was like, this is for me. So I took my jacket off. It was kind of cold that day. I tied it into knots so that it was like a sack. And then I started taking the amanitas, and I'd fill it in my sweater. And then I at the end of got enough mushrooms, I ran back to my vehicle, went to my cabin that I was renting for the night, and I researched what do I do with these things. Now, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning on preparation, but eventually I figured it out. The proper way to deal with Amanita is you have to dehydrate it. After you get it, the first day you get it, you have to start the dehydration process. The best way to do that is with gentle heat and air. Airflow. Airflow is very important. Not an oven. Do not put them in an oven unless you're preparing them for being consumed. Do not put them in an oven to dry them, though. That will destroy most of the potency, because what happens in an oven is a lot more. The actual mushrooms experience a lot more heat internally from the oven than they would from like a fan that has hot air blowing through it. So what I use personally are 1500 watt heater fans, the ones you use in like your house in the winter, and you set them up in a certain way that the mushrooms can get the air pushed over them, and then over a course of a night, they're pretty much fully dry. This has always been my dehydrating method, and it has been the simplest, it has been the easiest. This is how I was able to live in a truck and forage, because I could dehydrate while I'm at my campsite. I'm camping, using a generator. So the dehydrating of Amanita is really important. And once we've dehydrated Amanita, we need to store it. Okay, and it has to be cracker dry, to be clear, not like flimsy floppy dry, like a cracker. Like you bend it and it snaps instead of bending. When you store it, you want to store it in a glass and in a freezer. That's the best way. Okay, or in maybe a bag or something. But yeah, in a freezer is the best way to store them. For sure, keep them dry and do not let them get air on them. The air and the moisture and the temperature and everything, that all affects them. They will last usually about a year stored, if not refrigerated. If they're kept in a freezer, they can last up to like 3 to 5 years actually, just stored in a freezer. If it's a negative 30 degrees Celsius, they can last for over 30 years frozen in a freezer like that. Now, getting back to the initial story about how I got into this. So I am preparing the tea. I learned how to dehydrate the mushrooms while I'm living in Brazil. And then I learned how to prepare the tea, which was that at that time I had understood you're supposed to use lemon juice. That's what everyone on the internet said. So you go get some lemon juice and you squeeze a lemon into the amanitas because it increases the acidity. Because when you cook the amanitas, it has to be acidic enough for them to be able to decarboxylate, which is a chemical process where the poisonous compound is converted into the active ingredient called mucimol, which gives you the beneficial health effects, the beneficial effects for your trauma, that helps you to sleep. What mucimol actually does is mucimol is a GABA regulator. GABA is a neurotransmitter. You have 4 primary neurotransmitters called dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, and GABA. And many people have heard of dopamine, some people have heard of serotonin, but acetylcholine is usually the left out one that no one talks about. Acetylcholine is actually the neurotransmitter of our creativity and artistic people. So they're more dominant in that. Anyways, GABA is what we're talking about with mucimol. So with mucimol, what GABA does is it keeps you relaxed. So it sort of keeps everything stable and calm. GABA is what you feel when you're watching TV or watching Instagram. When you're watching this video, you're probably on GABA. Dopamine is when you're like playing a video game or you're like doing something intense. So GABA is kind of the opposite of that. So I know everyone likes dopamine in our world, but I needed GABA. And a lot of people need GABA because they need to be able to relax and rest, and they can't. See, I couldn't rest because I was so traumatized from my early childhood that I wasn't able to relax like almost ever. Very severe PTSD. So I had to take a lot of Amanita, more than I would recommend anyone else ever take, because for me it was unsafe. What I did was unsafe, and that's why I'm giving these messages to people, is to try to help people heal in a way that is safe. The things that I did were too risky, and I don't want anyone else to have to go through this. So what I'm trying to do with this video is explain to the world what I have made is kind of like a scientific discovery, okay? I know things about Amanita that nobody else understands because I've used it so much. I had to do it to survive. I needed this mushroom to be able to function and think and not just, lose it. I really had to work at this, and I don't want anyone else to have to go through that work. People who are trying to heal, people who are looking for solutions, and even in medicine, there's been lots of people who were cast out of medicine. I'm not a doctor at all, but there were doctors who discovered cures and were kicked out of medicine for it. The guy who discovered hand washing he lost his medical license. He died not practicing medicine. It was only after he died that it became normal to wash your hands. Okay, and so this is just one example, but there's been a lot of people throughout history make a discovery in something scientific or medical, and they are attacked. And my channel is in threat of being shut down. And I know that I have discovered something that can seriously change our world in a lot of ways. Amanita Muscaria is incredibly good at healing the nervous system. I know this from personal experience. I know it from using it on people, but it hasn't been studied. No one will study it because they think it's deadly. I'm trying to push this in front of the public so that there is a chance that it will be studied so that it can help people. But based on my understanding of the pharmaceutical industry and everything else in our world, they're never going to really do that. So I'm just trying to get this message out to the world and share this with people as much as I can. If they do end up shutting my channel down, I won't be able to stop them. And then there will be no way to communicate all this information. So hopefully someone downloads this video and copies it and reposts it, and anyone in the world is allowed to recopy and repost this video as many times as you want, and as many channels as you want. You can claim this as your own property. Anyone in the world can claim this video as their own personal property, and you can post it anywhere you want and say that it's yours and that you did it. I'm 100% okay with that. Continuing on with my story. So mucimol. Mucimol is what is needed to calm the nervous system down. Now, to do this, you have to add an acid to the mushrooms while they're in the pot with water, boil it for half an hour. You can do a little bit more, but try not to do less. You can do up to like 40 minutes, 45, but try not to really go over. And when you make the tea, I do not recommend that anyone consumes an amount that is greater than 3 grams in one serving. So people compare Amanita, because it's a mushroom, they compare it with psilocybin. Amanita is nothing like psilocybin. They're completely different. This is like comparing watermelons and sharks. They're very different. Okay? So Amanita Muscaria does not have the same dosaging parameters as psilocybin. Okay, so when I say 3 grams, that's actually not a lot for Amanita Muscaria. And the reason that I say maximum 3 grams is because of a number of things about Amanita, the way it can impact your body and your nervous system and your mind and your emotions. It's really better to just take less and focus on healing yourself through therapies, disciplines, spiritual practices, prayer. That's the best way to heal. Amanita can support that, but it can't do that for you. The Amanita doesn't do the work for you. You have to take the actions that make yourself heal. Amanita can calm you down, but if you get calm and then you just waste your time instead of trying to work out the core issues while you're calm, while you're at peace, you have to work out the core issues of whatever's causing you the traumas that you're dealing with. And so this is what I recommend to people. I think most people need 1 gram or less. That's typical. 1 gram per day is normal microdosing. And what will happen to you over 3 grams, don't worry about it. It's an intense experience. Most people feel like they're dying when they take more than 3 grams. Well, when you get over to about 10. But yeah, people will have a lot of crazy experiences when they get into the high doses of Amanita, because you're not supposed to take it as a high dose. I'm sorry. This is designed to heal you, not throw you into, speaking to entities. Okay, you want to do that, go out, take a DMT or ayahuasca or something. Psilocybin can do that too. If you pray a lot, you'll talk to entities. So when it comes to Amanita Muscaria, this is a medicine. I believe it should be treated as something that can heal people. It should be looked into. We should try this. We should try it. I'm suggesting we try it. So I'm unveiling, I'm going to talk now about Amanita Muscaria, everything there is to know about foraging it, and everything else there is, because this is actually a legal substance. Go look it up. It's not regulated. It's totally legal in most countries. There's like a handful of countries that it's illegal in. I'm just suggesting here that we understand what this thing can do for people and give it a chance. I had to work with Amanita to survive. For me to be functional as a human being, I had to. The way I got into mushroom foraging was a crazy long story that I'm going to put into a different video. But I did eventually give my whole life to try to serve this mushroom to the world, because I knew that it could heal a lot of people if I could make it popular. And I tried. And I'm way far from a perfect person. And I've done everything I can. But if I'm gonna get just my head chopped off for teaching people about Amanita, just telling them this kind of stuff, we're living in a tyrannical civilization, if that's the case. There's no other way I could see it. What do you mean? So this is something that I'm trying to push forward, what could potentially be a scientific breakthrough, if this in medicine, neurology, who knows? But it's blocked because of nothing, because of fear, because of stupid bureaucratic rules that don't come from human beings using the platform. What needs to occur here is that we have to agree as a people that speaking out about the things you know to be true is okay. That has to feel okay. Why? Because if you don't feel like speaking the truth is okay, then what are you going to speak? Lies? So this is part of the spiritual battle we're all in, and I'm really hoping that the audience will resonate with this, will hear me, and recognize that I'm sharing something that might really help a whole lot of people. The reason I say this is because I have noticed many of my customers improving in symptoms of things like OCD, Parkinson's, autism, reduced. They feel the autism. Some of my clients have said they feel as though they can concentrate better. They're more in control of their body and their emotions. They feel more at peace with themselves. And so a lot of these disorders, which are caused by overstimulation, I believe can be helped with Amanita because it stabilizes the GABA system. And please, if there's a doctor listening, comment. Please share. What do you think? I think so. Okay? I had really severe PTSD and I fought my way out of it with foraging. So the way I did this was I was living in Brazil for about 10 years. I had a spiritual inclination to come back here and share Amanita with the world. So I did. But when I came back, I had only been out of the US for 10 years. I had only debt. I didn't know anybody anymore. Didn't have anybody to call. So I just moved back here and lived in a truck. I just bought a truck and just started living in it. I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to be a mushroom forager. Let me tell you guys something. Chasing your dreams is as hard as it seems. I had to develop an entire mentality framework for being okay with what I was doing because it was so dangerous. I had no backup plan. I was living in a truck. I was going to either succeed as a mushroom forager or die or end up in jail. That was my decision. I was like, every day, I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna succeed at this. I'm gonna keep going. And let me tell you guys something, when you're gonna find the mushrooms out in the woods for a living, it's scary because you don't know where they are. And you have to spend your physical energy, and in this case, my gas money, on looking for them. And if anything goes wrong, like I get injured, or the truck breaks down, or anything happens, I'm just screwed. And this was my life for like 3 years. I did this for God. I felt called by God to bring this to the world. So this is why I did it. And I'm okay. I was okay with that part. Okay, this is what God needs for me to do. Okay, I'll do that. Amanita Muscaria. Here's how you forage it. Here's how you work with it. Now, to find it, I had to basically pray every day. And I would pray and I would do a meditative process where I would internally try to find where the mushrooms would be. I would sense it. And then I would look at Google Maps on a satellite map and I would feel exactly where the spot was. That's one of the reasons I wear this ring, because it says Yahweh and it helps to guide me when I'm thinking, making decisions. So I have this map. I would go to that place, and it would always have to be something that was like a certain kind of area, right? Because Amanita only grows in certain types of places. So I'd find that certain type of place, certain type of climate and region and rainfall at the time, and etc. And then I would just go there, and I'd look. And this method started to work. It worked really well, actually. It worked about 80% of the time. And I found so many mushrooms in the Pacific Northwest that in one season, I ended up hauling, my best season ever, I hauled 45 kilos dehydrated out of the Pacific Northwest. There was 3 massive barrels full of Amanita. So I'm pretty good at this. And what I'll say is that the way Amanita works is it will only grow 1 time a year in one spot in a forest. I'm sorry, 1 period of time. So it can be it can be up 2 to 4 weeks in one forest, where there will be a growth period depending on rainfall and depending on what the mycelium wants to do. Okay, mycelium, Amanita muscaria comes from a mycelium, and mycelium is an immortal organism.